Hey everyone, welcome back to NexusMind. This is where we forge calm strength, disciplined thinking, and unshakable mental toughness through Stoicism. Today's episode dives into 10 painful but powerful Stoic lessons that will teach you how to build and maintain mental toughness in the face of life's challenges. Life will test you with setbacks, failures, and unexpected obstacles. But the Stoics believed something radical. It is not what happens to you that defines you. It is how you respond. In this episode, you'll learn how to not only endure adversity, but grow stronger because of it. From mastering your perspective to practicing detachment, each lesson gives you a practical tool for staying mentally strong, no matter what life throws at you. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs more resilience in their life. Your support helps NexusMind reach those who are ready to build real inner strength. Now let's begin with the first lesson, mastering your perspective. Lesson 1, master your perspective. Mental toughness does not begin with strength of body, it begins with control of meaning, because life does not defeat people through events, it defeats them through interpretation. Two people can face the same setback. One collapses into bitterness and emotional noise. The other becomes sharper, calmer, and more disciplined. The difference is not luck, it is perspective. Marcus Aurelius captured this in one sentence: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This is not philosophy for comfort, it is a manual for survival. Events themselves are neutral. A rejection letter is paper, a harsh comment is sound, a delay is time. But the mind turns them into verdicts. I'm failing. They don't respect me. This always happens to me. And once you believe those verdicts, you begin to live as if they are facts. You lose composure, you lose discipline, you lose direction. Not because the event was powerful, but because your interpretation was uncontrolled. Most people suffer twice, first from what happened, then from what they tell themselves about what happened. The moment passes, but the mind keeps replaying it, adding meaning, adding insult, adding identity. This proves I'm weak. This proves I'm not enough. This proves I'll never succeed. Stoicism teaches you to end the second suffering. Perspective is not about pretending things are fine. It is about refusing to let distortion take command. The mind exaggerates, it personalizes, it jumps to conclusions, it turns one moment into a life sentence. Stoic discipline begins when you notice that distortion and refuse to obey it. You do not argue with the mind, you correct it. Instead of saying, "I'm overwhelmed," you say, "I have work to do, and I will take the next step." Instead of saying, "I've been disrespected," you say, "They spoke poorly, and I will respond with restraint." This is not emotional suppression, it is leadership of the self. A Stoic does not choose comforting interpretations. He chooses strengthening ones. A failure becomes information. A rejection becomes clarity. A delay becomes training in patience. He does not turn events into identity. He does not turn moments into definitions. He separates what happened from who he is. This is where control becomes visible. You cannot command people. You cannot command fate. You cannot command outcomes, but you can command response, and response shapes character. Anger may appear, but it does not drive. Fear may arise, but it does not steer. Pain may speak, but it does not rule. This is mental toughness, not the absence of emotion, but the refusal to be owned by it. When pressure hits, the Stoic asks one question: Is this within my control? If it is, he acts. If it is not, he releases it. This single split dissolves anxiety, because anxiety is born from trying to command what cannot be commanded. When the mind begins to spiral, the Stoic returns to fact. What happened? What I am telling myself? What interpretation builds strength instead of weakness? This is how perspective is reset. Stillness trains this power. A mind that never pauses is easily conquered by emotion. A mind that practices stillness becomes difficult to disturb. Reflection sharpens it, restraint strengthens it, repetition forges it, and over time, something changes. Delays no longer provoke panic, insults no longer drag you down, rejection no longer defines you. You become stable, and stability is power. Marcus Aurelius said it without drama. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is not inspiration, it is command. Perspective is the first discipline. Without it, nothing else holds. Lesson 2. Accept what you cannot change. Mental toughness begins the moment you stop arguing with reality. Most people exhaust themselves fighting what has already happened. They replay moments they cannot undo. They demand different outcomes from fixed events. They resist facts as if resistance could rewrite time, and this silent war with reality becomes their daily source of stress. Stoicism draws a sharp line between what belongs to you and what does not. Your thoughts belong to you. Your actions belong to you. Your values belong to you. But outcomes, timing, chance, and the behavior of others do not. Epictetus captured this in one sentence. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. This is not surrender, it is strategy. Every minute spent trying to control what you cannot is a minute stolen from what you can. Most anxiety is not fear of pain. It is frustration over powerlessness. The mind wants command over events, and when it cannot have it, it turns that tension inward as anger, worry, and resentment. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means recognition. It means seeing clearly instead of wishing differently. A setback is not an insult. A delay is not a betrayal. A loss is not a verdict on your worth. They are events, nothing more. Suffering begins when the mind adds judgment. This should not have happened. This is unfair. This ruins everything. These thoughts do not solve the problem. They tighten it. The Stoic does not waste strength resisting what is fixed. He redirects it toward what is still flexible. If something can be changed, he works. If it cannot, he releases it. This is where peace is built. Traffic cannot be commanded. Other people's emotions cannot be controlled. The past cannot be edited. But your posture toward them can be chosen. When something breaks, the Stoic does not collapse into outrage. He adjusts. He adapts. He asks one useful question: what remains in my control now? This is how acceptance becomes power. Seneca wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling." The event happens either way. The difference is whether you move with it or exhaust yourself fighting it. Resistance multiplies pain. Acceptance concentrates strength. And acceptance is not passive. It is disciplined clarity. You do not say, "This is fine." You say, "This is real." You do not say, "I like this." You say, "I will respond well to this." You stop demanding explanations from reality. You stop expecting life to negotiate. You stop bleeding energy into denial. This frees the mind to focus, and when the mind is focused, action becomes precise. Acceptance also trains humility. It reminds you that the world is not arranged around your preferences, that plans will fail, that bodies will weaken, that people will change. When you expect change, you are not shocked by it. This is why the Stoics reflected on impermanence, not to become cold, but to become steady. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now, not as fear, as perspective. Because when you remember that everything is temporary, you stop clinging to what cannot be kept and stop raging at what cannot be fixed. Acceptance also applies inward. You accept your limits, your fatigue, your emotional reactions, not as excuses, but as starting points. You do not say, I should be stronger than this. You say, this is where I am. I will move forward from here. That is Stoic acceptance. From that place, effort becomes clean. No bitterness, no panic, no self-pity, only direction. To accept what you cannot change is to stop bleeding into what you cannot command and start building what you can. This is not weakness, it is intelligence under pressure. Because the strongest mind is not the one that controls the world, but the one that does not collapse when the world refuses to be controlled. Acceptance is not the end of effort, it is the beginning of effective effort, and that is mental toughness. If this is helping you, I wrote these ideas into a short guide you can download for free. The link is in the description. Lesson 3. Embrace the present moment. Mental toughness is not built in the future. It is forged in what you do with this moment. Most people do not live where they stand. Their bodies are in the present, but their minds are trapped in yesterday or anxious about tomorrow. They replay mistakes. They rehearse disasters. They argue with events that no longer exist and fear events that have not yet arrived. Stoicism teaches a different discipline. Remain where your power is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, confine yourself to the present, not because the future does not matter, but because action only happens now. Anxiety lives in imagined outcomes. Regret lives in remembered failures. Strength lives in the current breath, the current task, the current choice. When the mind drifts into the future, it invents threats. When it drifts into the past, it invents shame. Both weaken discipline, both drain focus, both fracture resolve. The Stoic does not deny memory or planning. He refuses to dwell inside them. He studies the past for lessons, not for punishment. He prepares for the future, not to escape the present. The present moment is where effort happens, where restraint happens, where character is tested. A difficult day is not defeated by worrying about next week. A heavy task is not solved by regretting last month. It is handled by doing the next right thing, now. This is why Stoicism values mindfulness, not as relaxation, but as command of attention. When your attention is scattered, your energy leaks. When your attention is focused, your strength concentrates. You cannot carry yesterday's failures and today's responsibility without collapse. You cannot build discipline while living in mental noise. The present is the only place where control exists. Breath anchors you here. Action keeps you here. Choice defines you here. When pressure arrives, the Stoic does not say, "How will this end?" He asks, "What must be done next?" This reduces chaos to sequence, fear to function, overwhelm to order. A mountain is climbed one step at a time, not in thought, but in movement. The mind resists the present because the present requires effort. It would rather escape into fantasy or hide in regret. But mental toughness is the refusal to escape. It is staying with discomfort until it becomes manageable. Staying with work until it becomes progress. Staying with pain until it becomes wisdom. When you live in the present, you stop borrowing suffering from the future and stop repaying pain from the past. You conserve energy, you sharpen judgment, you increase endurance. Even joy becomes cleaner, because it is not diluted by fear of losing it or memory of missing it. The Stoics knew this. Time is not your enemy. Distraction is. The present moment is the training ground of the mind. If you control this moment, you control the next, and then the next, and then the path itself. Mental toughness is not about imagining strength, it is about practicing it right here, right now. Lesson 4. Cultivate humility and empathy. Mental toughness is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not need to dominate to feel secure. It stands firm without needing to prove superiority. Humility keeps the mind flexible. Empathy keeps the heart intelligent. Together, they prevent strength from turning into arrogance and resilience from turning into isolation. Many mistake toughness for hardness, but hardness cracks under pressure. Humility bends and adapts. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he was not above error, not above weakness, not above learning. Humility is not self-disgust. It is self-accuracy. It is knowing what you are capable of and knowing where you are still unfinished. Pride resists correction. Humility absorbs it. And correction is how strength improves. A mind that believes it already knows cannot grow. A mind that listens becomes dangerous in the best way. Empathy sharpens this process. It trains you to see others not as obstacles, but as mirrors. Every difficult person is practicing their own survival strategy. Every harsh word is rooted in some form of fear, confusion, or wound. This does not excuse harm, it explains behavior, and understanding behavior prevents emotional entanglement. When you can see what drives someone, you stop reacting blindly. You respond with distance or firmness, not rage. That is strength with control. Empathy does not mean surrender, it means clarity without cruelty. The Stoic does not ask, "How do I defeat them?" He asks, "What is actually happening here?" That question alone disarms many conflicts. Humility also keeps success from poisoning character. When progress arrives, the arrogant grow reckless. The humble grow disciplined. They know fortune shifts. They know ability must be maintained. They know pride invites collapse. Humility makes room for improvement even when things go well. Empathy makes room for peace, even when people disappoint. Together, they protect the mind from emotional extremes. They keep strength usable instead of explosive. A proud man breaks when challenged. A humble one adapts. An unempathetic man fights everyone. An empathetic one chooses his battles. Mental toughness is not emotional blindness. It is emotional literacy. It is knowing when to push and when to step back, when to speak and when to stay silent. Humility keeps you teachable. Empathy keeps you human. Without them, strength becomes brittle. With them, strength becomes durable, not reactive, not defensive, not loud, but steady. And steady outlasts storms. Lesson 5. Practice gratitude. Mental toughness is not built only in suffering, it is also built in appreciation. Without gratitude, strength becomes dry. With it, resilience gains depth. The Stoics did not ignore hardship, but they refused to become blind to what was still intact. Gratitude is not pretending things are easy, it is refusing to pretend everything is broken. A mind trained only to notice loss becomes fragile. A mind trained to notice value becomes anchored. This is why Epictetus taught that the wise person does not mourn what he lacks, but respects what he holds. Gratitude stabilizes perception. When difficulty arrives, the untrained mind collapses into complaint. The disciplined mind searches for orientation, not why me, but what remains. That question restores balance. Gratitude does not erase pain. It prevents pain from becoming identity. It reminds you that hardship is part of life, but not the whole of it. Even in adversity, there is still breath, still time, still capacity to choose response. That awareness keeps despair from spreading. Gratitude also sharpens endurance. When you recognize what you have survived, you realize what you can survive again. Memory of strength creates present courage, and courage reduces panic. This is not optimism, it is evidence-based confidence. A grateful mind is harder to destabilize because it is not addicted to comfort. It does not require perfect conditions to remain composed. It knows how to find footing even on uneven ground. Gratitude also weakens entitlement. Entitlement demands life behave. Gratitude adapts to how life is. One breeds frustration, the other builds composure. The Stoic does not thank the world for being fair. He thanks himself for being awake. He understands that everything he has can be taken, which makes everything he has worth noticing. This creates humility without weakness and contentment without stagnation. Gratitude is not passive, it is strategic. It redirects attention from what drains to what sustains, and attention is the fuel of emotion. Where you aim it determines what grows. Aim it only at lack and dissatisfaction multiplies. Aim it at value and endurance expands. A grateful mind does not deny ambition. It removes desperation from ambition. It allows effort without bitterness, progress without resentment. You still improve, you still strive, but you are not hollow while doing so. This is how gratitude strengthens mental toughness. It protects you from becoming hostile to your own life. It teaches you to carry weight without becoming resentful, to endure without becoming numb, to grow without becoming rigid. Not because life is generous, but because perspective is disciplined. And disciplined perspective is power. I turned this into a short guide for those who want to apply it. Free link in the description. Lesson 6. Transform challenges into opportunities. Mental toughness is not built by avoiding difficulty, it is built by using it. The Stoics believed every obstacle contains training. What blocks comfort strengthens character. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what stands in the way becomes the way. This is not poetry, it is strategy. When hardship appears, most people ask, why is this happening to me? The disciplined mind asks, what is this preparing me for? That single shift changes everything. Challenges expose weakness, but they also reveal capacity. A setback is not just a loss, it is information. It shows where skill is lacking, where discipline is thin, where patience is undeveloped. If you study it, it becomes instruction. If you resent it, it becomes bitterness. Stoicism trains you to extract value from pain instead of trying to escape it, not by romanticizing suffering, but by refusing to waste it. Every difficulty becomes a test of response, not of luck, not of fairness, but of character. This builds resilience because you stop seeing struggle as proof of failure and start seeing it as proof of progress. If life were not pushing back, you would not be advancing. When you adopt this view, you stop collapsing under pressure. You start organizing under pressure. And that is the difference between being burdened by adversity and being sharpened by it. Challenges will not disappear, but their meaning can be controlled. And meaning determines endurance. Lesson 7. Be guided by reason. not emotion. Mental toughness is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. The Stoics did not deny feeling. They refused to be ruled by it. Reason was their compass. When anger rises, they did not obey it. They examined it. When fear appeared, they did not surrender to it. They questioned it. Emotion reacts. Reason responds. That distinction is everything. Most mistakes in life are not made because people lack intelligence. They are made because people act while flooded with feeling. Anger makes decisions fast. Fear makes decisions small. Ego makes decisions loud. Reason makes decisions aligned. Marcus Aurelius taught that you always have power over your mind, even when you have no power over events. That is not optimism, that is responsibility. To be guided by reason means pausing before action, asking, is this reaction helping me? Is it necessary? Is it worthy of who I am trying to become? It means not letting mood dictate behavior, not letting insult dictate identity, not letting pressure dictate principle. This builds mental toughness because it creates consistency. You become stable when others are chaotic, measured when others are impulsive, clear when others are emotional, and clarity is strength. Life will still provoke you. People will still test you, situations will still frustrate you. But when reason leads, you stop being dragged by circumstance and start moving with intent. That is Stoic power. Lesson 8. Nurture inner tranquility. Mental toughness is not loud, it is quiet. The Stoics did not seek chaos, they sought calm. Not the calm of comfort, but the calm of control. Inner tranquility is the state where nothing outside you can command what happens inside you. Storms still come, noise still surrounds you, pressure still exists, but your mind does not collapse with it. Marcus Aurelius taught that disturbance does not come from events, but from the judgments we attach to them. In other words, life does not shake you, your interpretation does. Inner tranquility is built when you stop demanding that the world be gentle and start training yourself to be steady. It means letting go of the need to win every argument, letting go of the hunger for approval, letting go of the illusion that control creates peace. Peace comes from alignment between thought, action, and values. When your mind stops chasing what it cannot command, it begins to settle. This does not make you passive, it makes you grounded. You still act, you still strive, you still improve. But you do it without inner noise, without panic, without emotional whiplash. This is why tranquility is strength. A calm mind sees clearly. A calm mind chooses wisely. A calm mind lasts longer. The Stoics did not escape the world. They learned how to remain unmoved within it, and that is mental toughness at its highest form. Lesson 9. Practice detachment. Mental toughness grows when you stop clinging. The Stoics understood that most suffering comes from attachment to outcomes, to approval, to possessions, to identities that can be taken from you. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending, you act fully, you commit deeply. But you do not hand your peace to results. Epictetus taught that what disturbs us is not what happens, but what we demand must happen. When you tie your happiness to a specific outcome, you become fragile. When you detach from the outcome, you become free. You still work, you still aim high, but your worth is no longer held hostage by success or failure. Detachment trains you to value effort over reward, character over applause, principles over comfort. It reminds you that people change, situations shift, fortunes rise and fall, but your inner posture remains your responsibility. When you practice detachment, loss hurts less. Criticism weakens, fear loses leverage. You are no longer ruled by what you might lose, because you are anchored in what cannot be taken, and that is power. Not the power of possession, but the power of independence. Not the power of control, but the power of composure. The Stoic does not retreat from life. He releases his grip on illusion, and in doing so, he becomes unshakable. Lesson 10. Forge ahead. Mental toughness is not proven in comfort. It is revealed in continuation. To forge ahead means you do not stop when life resists you. You do not quit when progress slows. You do not abandon your values when conditions turn hostile. The Stoics believed that obstacles are not interruptions, they are the training ground. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what blocks the path becomes the path. Every delay, every failure, every setback is not a signal to retreat, but a chance to strengthen your discipline. Forging ahead does not mean blind stubbornness. It means intelligent persistence. You adjust your approach, but you do not abandon your direction. You accept that progress is uneven, that growth is uncomfortable, that mastery is slow, and still you move. One step, one effort, one decision at a time. You stop waiting for motivation and rely on principle. You stop demanding certainty and act with courage anyway. Forging ahead is choosing effort over excuse, consistency over emotion, purpose over ease. It is the quiet refusal to collapse when life applies pressure. Not because you are invincible, but because you are committed. The Stoic does not ask for a lighter burden. He builds a stronger back, and with every step forward, even when tired, even when unseen, even when uncertain, he becomes someone who cannot be stopped by fear, by failure, or by delay. That is mental toughness, not dramatic, not loud, not reckless, just relentless. Conclusion. Mental toughness is not something you are born with. It is something you forge, thought by thought, choice by choice, pressure by pressure. The Stoics showed us that strength is not loud. It is disciplined. It is calm. It is trained. When you master your perspective, accept what you cannot control, stay rooted in the present, practice gratitude, transform hardship into growth, and keep moving forward, you are no longer reacting to life. You are shaping yourself through it. This is the path of NexusMind, not motivation, not hype, but a forged inner system built on reason, restraint, and resilience. If you want the full system behind these lessons, it's in my book, The NexusMind Code. The link is in the description and pinned comment. Forge the mind, master the moment. This is NexusMind.